My name is Anthony Graves, write-in candidate for U.S. House of Representatives for District 8. I sincerely believe the serious challenges that we face today must be addressed by Congress within the next 2 years. After the primaries, it became clear to me that a different type of candidate, an alternative to the establishment candidate showing up on the ballot in November, would be needed if there was any hope of getting things fixed. I knew that more than any of the other candidates in this general election, I possess the necessary desire and abilities to best represent the people of the 8th District in the U.S. House of Representatives and to effect meaningful and positive change in Washington. When I decided to run for office, I decided to make a statement and not accept campaign contributions. Unlike my opponents from the two major parties who were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to run, I'm running my entire campaign below the $5,000 federal threshold. Because I am not accepting contributions, I had to focus my entire campaign on word of mouth and grassroots methods of campaigning. This meant communicating my campaign to people through the internet with email and social media like Facebook and Twitter, and this meant having supporters contact their closest friends and family to spread the word. And like traditional campaigns, getting out and talking to the people of the 8th District face-to-face in parking lots, in restaurants, and at events. The only way to get the influence of huge money out of politics is to show that running and winning is possible without it. Support has been great, and as people are finding out about my campaign, the word is spreading quickly. Now, people have asked why they should vote for Anthony Graves for Congress. I've been a resident of Stanley County and specifically Oakboro, home of the Oakboro 4th of July celebration and Oakboro cruise-ins in the 8th District for 11 years. For almost 10 of those years, I've been an active volunteer firefighter, including half of the time as an EMT and first responder. I've been involved in manufacturing and the manufacturing industry for all of my adult working life, working with the largest companies in the world and the smallest businesses you will probably never hear of. These and other unique experiences that I've had provide me with a perspective on what needs to be done, unlike any other candidate running. These experiences also give me an appreciation for what is great about our state and our nation and why it is so critically important that we get things fixed now. First and most importantly, Congress has to establish trust and goodwill with the American people. This means passing term limits, eliminating the pension for elected officials, and requiring our elected representatives to get their health care from the VA. If it's good enough for our veterans and our soldiers and our active duty service members, it should be good enough for our elected officials. These are just a few of the steps Congress can take to show the American people that our representatives know who they work for and that their number one focus needs to be getting our house in order. Second, we have to pass legislation addressing the most important issues impacting our economy and our prosperity. We have to pass a balanced budget amendment to address our national debt, get control of unsustainable entitlement programs, and stop the out-of-control spending. We have to pass meaningful tax reform. We have to secure our borders, fix our legal immigration system, and stop illegal immigration. We have to fix Social Security. And most importantly, we have to make a clear statement that we are getting our financial house in order and getting our economy back on track. This allows for growth and investment, which means jobs and opportunity. Third, we have to send a representative to Washington who will not simply rubber stamp whatever legislation the party in power sends up for a vote. Our representative must shape that legislation. This means the legislation addresses the problem or issue it's supposed to address, within the confines that the government be able to pay for it without increasing taxes and without further restricting states' rights in the process. And this is a great place to point out how important it is to send someone to Washington that will work to restore the proper role and size of the federal government. We can send the best people to Raleigh to work on our behalf, to make the necessary changes that must take place for North Carolina to grow and prosper. However, if the federal government's takeover of states' rights is not addressed and reversed in Washington, much of the legislation that is enacted in Raleigh can be rendered meaningless with the simple stroke of a president's pen. Lastly, I chose to run as an independent because party affiliation really doesn't mean anything right now. The Republican Party is no longer the party of Ronald Reagan, just like the Democrat Party is no longer the party of John F. Kennedy. When it comes down to the issues, 80% of the people fall into what I call the American Party. So, while the parties fight and spend time figuring out what they actually stand for and who they actually represent, with your vote, I will go to Washington and work with other committed leaders to get things fixed. As a certified write-in candidate, my name will not be on the ballot, so you will need to know how to vote for me. When you go to vote, there is a section for each office. Locate the U.S. House of Representatives District 8 section, fill in the circle next to the write-in line, and write in Anthony Graves. People have asked me what this experience has been like running for office. I can say that it has been incredibly positive and educational. I started out believing that 80% of the people know what our problems are and can agree on the solutions to fix them. And the people of the 8th District have proven me right. The best way to describe my run is with this typical scenario that has repeated itself all across the 8th District. I'm out campaigning and a small group of people gather around. The first thing that everyone wants to know as they approach is whether I'm a Republican or a Democrat. When I say that I'm an independent, they stop and they listen. After we spend about 10 or 15 minutes talking about the issues and everyone is in agreement on what needs to be done, I will ask them, so what party are you registered with? Just over half will say Republican and the other half Democrat. A surprised and confused look comes over their faces. At this point, I simply state the obvious, that this is why things never get fixed. The parties and special interests spend so much time dividing people, many give up hope. The good news, if I can make people realize this in 10 minutes, imagine what I can do in Congress in 2 years. Thank you for writing in Anthony Graves for U.S. House of Representatives this November 2nd. Please encourage your friends to come to my website and find out more about my campaign. Thank you.